I'm coming from the business side, as I said, and see blockchain as enabler. So it makes processes more automated, more efficient, but the use case itself does have to make sense. Otherwise, no business will use it, and it's not going to be scalable. So that's why we are very deep into like one sustainability topic, the one of decarbonizing supply chains. The question, first of all, is what is the carbon price? It's same as like impact, but I'd say divided into several problems or challenges. And one is, what is actually really the carbon price? For example, for a car, for, I don't know, Apple, for example, claims that they are carbon neutral already. However, an iPhone is by far not. So how do you actually calculate the product carbon footprint based on your supply chain data? And that's exactly what the challenge is. It's interoperability is needed to exchange data in between companies along the supply chain. How does the calculation itself work? So we have scope 3 sustainability data coming from your suppliers. You have to request it. You have to trust the data you've requested. Then you have your own emissions, scope 1 and 2. You add it up, and then in the end, you have a product carbon footprint. You have to report it to your customers, to the customer, like the end consumer. So there's also traceability, trust issues, everything which actually blockchain can solve. So that's why it's such a nice such a nice business use case, because it's exactly what's needed for decarbonizing supply chains is what can be solved via blockchain. And that's why we are very active in several ecosystems. One is the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Don't know if anyone of you is deeper into sustainability topics, but they created the GHG protocol, for example. And it's coming from the large enterprises of that world, like Procter & Gamble, Unilever, BASF, Dow Chemicals, all of them. And they really drive it, and they have to drive it, because they have the purchasing power, they have the resources and everything to really drive the change. And then there's a second one, it's called Kathrin X. It's focused on the automotive industry. And they are deeper into some tech challenges, but they're way larger, I have to say. And the third one is Sustainum. We founded it together with Siemens and several other partners. And that's my example. I would love to see it on the slides. But I try to explain it with my hands. So there's the verifier in Germany. Usually it's the TÜV for verifying the product carbon footprint. Then there is the holder. It's, for example, BASF. And there's the issuer, which is TÜV. There's the holder, which is BASF. And then there's the verifier, which is Porsche. And Porsche requests the sustainability data, such as a product carbon footprint, from Porsche, and they send it directly and automated through the supply chain. You can even like go through BASF, Motherson, Porsche, whoever. And then in the end, you have exactly the added up product carbon footprint of the finished product, which Porsche in the end can claim then. On the market, there are three main, I'd say, use cases. One is the peer-to-peer data exchange. So it's exactly adding up the product carbon footprint through the supply chain, in the end having one product carbon footprint for the finished product. The second one is, Mariana started kind of talking about it. So the product passport is part of that. So it's a lot of different KPIs. It's not only carbon, but water footprint and several other KPIs. And the third one is digital identities and verifiable credentials. And that's what we're talking about in our Sustainum ecosystem and what I've just explained. Yeah. So I don't know if the presentation is going to show up today. That's German tech. Whatever. The last slide was a quite nice overview of what actually the challenges are, but what we need to really use blockchain for sustainability. And I'd explain it to you from a challenge perspective, because I see it quite critical. In my opinion, the market is not really ready for it. So the biggest challenge is cultural things in companies. It's knowledge, it's sustainability, first of all, has to be established in those companies, has to be integrated in every process and basically in the company's DNA. So that first has to be established. Knowledge not only in sustainability, but of course also in blockchain and tech. Then secondly, we need interoperability, we need standards, we need to collaborate to really find the solution fitting the entire market, because we usually try to forget the smaller ones, the SMEs. We try to forget some industries, because the automotive industry in Germany is quite, whoo. Okay, that's the white cloud. Maybe you've heard some of those words. That's the process, how it works. So tier 1, 2, and 3, coming from your supply chain, then your own manufacturing on top, and in the end, you have the product carbon footprint of your finished product. I'm also seeing the legal disclaimer still there. That's the 3 use cases I've talked about. That you can see through the logos, I'd say, what kind of power in those ecosystems is. Then that's a use case from, maybe I can hold it for a bit longer. That's a use case from Estanium. What I've talked about, the issue on the bottom left is the TÜV in Germany. The holder could be the BSF and verifier, such as Porsche. And you really have the decentralized data storage through verifiable data registry. Then that's the 3 main challenges I was just talking about. The third one, I think we've seen it at Tradelands, what happens when a solution is very dependent from one company only, one big company only. And the data availability thing is more connected to the sustainability topic, that data is basically not available, and if it's available, it's not really high quality. And that's the last slide I've talked about. So we really need market acceptance in the sense of every industry, every size of the company, and the regulatory framework has to enable the whole thing, I think, and it really pushes it. I think we all see it with CSRD and LKSG, what currently happens on the market. Then it has to bring a real added value, so the business use case has to be clearly there, and the technology has to be the enabler. Then you have to integrate sustainability, what I just said, into your company's processes, into your DNA. And then the solution, the combined solution in between sustainability and technology has to be scalable. It has to be quite easy to implement. The technology must be ready, and it has to be integratable into other systems such as ERP systems. Otherwise, no company will ever use it. That's also my QR code. I think you can scan it. And happy to answer any questions, but we have a panel now also. Hope we discuss about some challenges.
Thanks a lot, Kathrin. It's been a challenge, but you made it. Thank you. Can we